Welcome one, welcome all to Monstars Mic Vodcast, episode 2. Stay tuned. We're going to be getting into the spy flights and all that stuff that's recently been happening out there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want to talk a little bit about it, all you got to do is go ahead and type in the chat your opinions, your views, some of those things. And if you want to call in, let me know, and we'll work out some schematics to get your voice heard here on Monstars Mic Vodcast. Welcome one, welcome all. I hope you guys are going to have a good time. Pop open them beers, get your bowls loaded, whatever it is that you want, because we're going to have a bit of a chat if you like those types of things. Stay tuned. Five minutes. Jeez Louise, those guys were going off, weren't they? Welcome on, welcome on to Monstars Mic Vodcast, vodcast number 2 for you, here in Monstar Gaming Studios, live. Hello there, Miss Sloth. Welcome to the stream. We're gonna get things started off here pretty soon. I just want to say a little bit more about what's going on here on Monstars Mic Vodcast. Tonight we will be smoking on Slimer. That's Slimer from Pagoda. Got this for $10 down at my local dispensary. You know how we like to do it here on the stream. Don't want to go breaking stuff. We're shipping on some of this good shit right here. Some Pabst Blue Ribbon. And you are with Monstars Mic Vodcast episode number 2. Tonight we will be talking about the spy flights, the objects afterwards that were shot down, and why they're not calling them things balloons instead of objects. Recently in the news, these cats have been talking about, well, they're not aliens, but then they don't want to tell us anything about it. But I gotta tell you, man, well, we'll save it for the thing. I have some opinions about all of that stuff. And so I thought that would make a good vodcast for tonight. So if you have an opinion, I would like for you to go ahead and type it there into the thing as we go about this. Or if you want to call in, you can also call in and we'll get your voice on there to be heard. This is just a all-around cool place to be, you know what I'm saying? And I'll tell you this one thing, don't get offended by it. Here on Monstars Mic Vodcast, this is not a safe space, unfortunately. But check it out, it is not a safe space for you, and it is not a safe space for me, because this world is not a safe place. Everybody gets to have their say of what they want to say. Everybody's going to listen to what people have to say, and then at the end, everybody's just going to walk away. Ooh, that kind of rhymes. I need to write that down. But you know what? If you got something to say, get somebody else, go ahead and say it. And if they got to say some stuff, y'all guys hammer it out, because we're all adults here. You know what I'm saying? Act like adults. That's all we're going to do. The government is hiding stuff. So if showing more of bullshit, it's just my opinion, well then you're gonna have to kinda explain more about that. The government is hiding stuff. Am I? Oh, shit. That's all good. You could say whatever you want to say. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean, Miss Sloth. You got a problem with somebody, you call them out, you handle that shit. You know what I'm saying? We're all adults here. So I want to know why you would think that I was for that reason, and then that could be another thing. But that's all about opening the dialogue. It's all about opening the understanding of things. I ain't scared about what you got to say. And neither should anybody else be. You get it? If I speak my mind on any topic, people would cancel me. I'm old school. Well, welcome to the club. Please, if you don't have anything nice to say, sit with us. That's what I'm talking about, Miss Sloth. I'm from an older generation myself, you know? And, I spoke my mind about that on my last stream, about, people should speak their minds, because people are too wrapped up in feelings sometimes, and that can get you in trouble. But we're not here to talk about that. But yes, we want you to speak your mind. You have something to say against me, you say it. And I have something to say against you, I'll say it. But at the end, that'll be that, man. And if it keeps further, then it's further. But that's the real world, isn't it? That's the real world. Well, it's not really the alien stuff on the news, but let's get into that here real quick here. All right, so over the last, I would say, couple of weeks, there's been all of this hubbub about this spy balloon shit, right? And if you've been hiding under a rock, you absolutely wouldn't know about it. But something had flown through Alaska, over Canada. This was the first one, over Canada, and through the top over there, through Idaho and through Montana. And it basically traversed the top part of the United States. And it got to the coast off of South Carolina, Myrtle Beach area, and that's when they got shot down. They were able to identify it as a spy balloon or some type of intel gathering thing. And for some reason, it's China that they say did it, right? So the first time when they shot it down, people were pissed, right? Because they were saying, okay, well, why didn't you shoot it down before it got to Alaska over that and shit? And they were like, well, it's because the assessment was it was flying at about 60,000 feet and it wasn't a risk to any commercial flight or that part. But it might have been a problem for civilians if we were to shoot it down, because it had a debris radius of 20 miles. So we weren't willing to take that risk, right? So instead, they decided to monitor it, and they're saying, okay, well, we're going to gather information on it, I guess, while it gathers information on us. But that was when they found out that it was in fucking Montana, right? Somebody, I guess some newscaster, actually spotted it and reported it to a news station, and they brought it out, right? And then all of a sudden they're like, no, we can't shoot it down because there's too many people around down below and shit. And this was in Montana, sky country, but also in Montana we have a missile silo there that's highly, covered up in a secret. So they let this motherfucking thing, which was maneuverable, by the way, like it could fucking change direction if it wanted to. So it did its thing all the way out into South Carolina, and then finally they shot it down, right? They're still trying to recover the fucking wreckage from it to this day. And, everybody got pissed off about it because, they were wondering, okay, well, why were you letting us get this information if you know it's from China and there are enemies, then why are you letting it fly around? And then all they can go back to is, well, the fucking civilians, and, blah, 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 blah. We're going to shoot it down and all that stuff. And so an F-22 Lightning Rapid from Lockheed Martin went down there and launched a missile into it, right? Pop, there it goes. You can catch all of that shit online for the first one. So then he started to get flack, and all of a sudden, well, guess what? There's other balloons flying all over the fucking all over the world and shit right now. But there's another one that they shot down over Canada. Actually, no, it was over the Alaskan coast. And they shot that one down immediately because that one was flying at about 40,000 feet. And they said that it posed a risk to flight, like commercial flight, right? But check this shit out. They calling it an object. They say that this one, the second one that they shot down over the Alaskan coast, was nothing like the balloon that they shot down before. They say that the second one that they shot down was of a cylindrical shape, and it was about the size of a small car. That's all that they're giving us. And they're saying that they can't recover that shit because it's in the Arctic, landed on ice, and the weather is so cold, and there's fucking ice everywhere and shit, and they're out there supposed to be scrambling for this thing. But nothing have they said about that has come up yet. So, with that being said, what do y'all guys think about that so far? Because guess what? There's two more. They just shot the fourth one down fucking yesterday. What do you think? Why are they calling the second one an object when the first one was apparently a fucking weather balloon, like three fucking bus? They said it was 3 buses tall and it had some fucking payload on it and shit. And the second one they just shot down, pew, right off of Alaska and whatnot. So there's that one. Anybody? Well, just speak what you think. I mean, it's all good. Okay, so here's a question for you then, Miss Sloth. What do you think about the fact that the government decided to let the first balloon fly all the way across, but this one can't get in? What do you think about that? Oh, wait, there's more after this, but, just speak your mind. What do you think? Why do they call this one an object, right? How come they're not releasing shit? Well, yeah, of course. Okay, so anyways, that one, the second one, they're still trying to find, right? Then all of a sudden, guess what? Here comes the fucking third one. Now the third one was found by Canada. Finally, now Canada's actually trying to fucking pay attention to all of this shit. And they get in touch with the United States, and they're like, hey, or actually NORAD is now all up in the sky and shit, and they're fucking tracking these things. So NORAD spots something in Canada somewhere, right? And then NORAD contacts Canada and says, hey, man, y'all don't see that shit up there, man? Check it out. And then NORAD tells them, and then Canada contacts the United States and says, hey, man, we got one of them floating things up here, man. You want to send one of them Raptors over here and get it? And sure enough, Canada did a co-op with United States and sent something over there to shoot that bitch down, right? But with that one, there is absolutely no fucking description they can give us. All they're calling it is an object, and they can't fucking find that one either. Oh, and guess what? There's a fourth one they just fucking shot down yesterday. So what the fuck is going on right now? Is it China talking about going to war pretty soon? Are they pushing this administration because they see weakness in the leadership? Or is it fucking aliens? Because you know what? We could use a fucking alien right about now, dude. I'm fucking ready. Because right now, for me, my opinion is that at least here in the United States, in the world, it's gone fucking ape shit, right? So if aliens came down, I think it'd be about a fucking good time to make everybody kind of like lock up and realize that all this bullshit fucking high school crap that everybody's doing right now needs to stop. And I could sure use an alien intervention. What about you? What say you guys? What say you all? Alien intervention? I don't know. But check this out. In interviews on news channels that I watch, they're saying like, oh, well, you know, we can't say it's this, we can't say it's that. And then the news reporter's like, is it aliens? Well, we can't rule out the fucking alien possibility. So I'll tell you one thing. I believe in aliens, dude. I mean, for me, my personal opinion is if you actually think that we are here alone in this universe, that we are supposed to be the only ones, we think that. Just a little bit. Reset. All right, so with that being said, I've got some snippets here. I haven't heard this briefing yet, but this is a White House briefing on the following recent downings of the fucking objects. So let's hear what they got to say, and we'll pause it along the way, and we'll get opinions in that, because I haven't heard this one yet, but I have a problem with listening to Karine Jean-Pierre, whatever the fuck her name is, because I just can't believe it's all just fucking lies to me. You know what I'm saying? Everything they say is just lies. The government is just lies, you know? Oh, really? She says that she can't say that she believes in aliens. Fuck. Wow. Are you kidding me right now? Miss Sloth, why don't you believe in aliens? They're crossing the border every fucking day. What are you talking about? They cross the border by the fucking thousands, man. You don't believe in aliens, man. Okay, so why don't you, though? Let's put on some background music for a second while she explains. I'll put it right here. Actually, no, we'll put it right here. Why don't you believe in aliens? Inquiring minds would like to know while we're doing something here. I should want to know. And I'm not gonna razz you on your explanation. I would just like to know why. Just indulge us, would ya? Well, they don't have to be little green men. I mean, you know what I mean? Anything up there, like any type of, like the reptilians, the Anunnaki, the fucking, what do they call those bitches, man? Live in Zeta Reticuli and shit. The fucking, I can name off all kinds of motherfuckers, but I'm trying to focus right now. So what is it? Those, yeah, I mean little green men versions. I believe in orgasms. Yeah. She believes in orgasms, yeah. No, I know they're organisms. Like Pop one. So let me ask you a question here before we move on to the interview. You believe in organisms. Do you come to a point to where you think that there isn't any form of higher technology out there in the universe that makes us think that we haven't been visited, or in our history, that they don't exist? Do you want, like, what makes you think that? But why? That's a bleak kind of outlook. That's a bit dark. I don't know if I can cope. That's a bit dark. Got it all wrong. It's the wrong tone. Okay, well, if you can't, the best way I can explain it, while high, it don't feel right. Well, that's awesome. She must be really high right now. All right, so here we go. Here comes, she must be really high. And we'll just go ahead and move on from that. Thank you, though, for your opinion. Let's see here. Okay, this is what she's going to say.
And concerns about this, but there is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity with these recent
Oh, they're all laughing and
takedowns.
shit. Like,
Again,
it's fucking,
there
they're all
is
laughing
no
about it.
exceptions for humanitarian.
Like, they're all fucking laughing. You hear what she said? She says, there is no indication that this is of alien things, and everybody starts laughing. Oh. And I'm like, oh no. Like, you motherfuckers, why would I believe that shit? I mean, you said, what else did you say didn't happen? That happened. You know, they're just doing more fucking gaslight. They're doing more gaslighting to us. I mean, it's like, oh, okay, they're no fucking aliens. Yeah, but you won't tell us what the objects are, man? I mean, if you saw them, you know you fucking saw them, right? You told us one was a cylindrical shape and it looked like a fucking car. And the other ones, you don't want to tell. And all of a sudden, she's like, oh, they're fucking no aliens. Everybody's like, oh. I'm like, dude, you guys got to be fucking shitting me, dude. And I was going to say something else, too, pretty smart, but I forgot what it was. All right, let's give this bitch a chance.
Medical, food, and other aid. And one last thing before I turn it over to the Admiral, I just wanted to make sure we address this from the White House. I know there have been questions and concerns about this, but there is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity with these recent takedowns. Again, there is no indication of aliens or terrestrial.
Then tell us what the
activity
fucking
with these
objects
recent
are.
takedowns. Wanted to make sure that the American people knew that, all of you knew that, and it was important for us to say that.
I ain't gonna believe a damn thing you said.
I'm not.
Would you tell us?
I'm just, I loved E.T. the movie, but I'm just gonna leave it there. With that, with all seriousness, I know there's
Bitch funny, right? You think it's a joke?
about the flying objects. Admiral John Kirby is here with us today, and he's going to have a couple things to say at the top about it, and then take your questions. Okay?
Thanks for clearing that up. Makes my job easier.
Listen up. Let's see what these guys
I
got
do
to
have,
say about this
quite a few
bullshit.
comments here at the top, so I do hope that you'll just bear with me, and then be happy to take whatever questions you might have. So I'd like to begin today by updating you on our efforts to recover the debris of several objects that the United States Air Force shot down over the last few days, as well as that of the spy balloon belonging to the People's Republic of China. And I'd like to put into some context for you how we have worked and are still working to better understand the issue of high-altitude, low-speed craft. Now, let me start with the Chinese program.
See, this is something. Okay, our military is supposed to be like all-knowing and shit, right? I mean, to me, that's what I would think. Like, they would know what they were fucking doing. I mean, the government or the fucking FBI or CIA could be on your ass like that. The IRS can fucking be on your ass like that. And you want me to believe that you fuckers, we don't know how to fucking understand what it is. You know, it's made of plastic. You know, or I mean, you can goddamn shoot a goddamn asteroid out of the fucking space area, or you can detect if a overseas ballistic missile is coming and intercept that, but you don't fucking understand what's between 40,000 and 60,000 feet. And when you got jets soaring over there, looking at that shit and shooting it down, and you can tell us the first one was a fucking balloon, and all the rest you don't know what the hell they are. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, am I wrong to think that? Am I wrong? Are we going to split hairs here? Am I wrong?
When President Biden came into office, he directed the U.S. intelligence community to do a broad assessment of Chinese intelligence capabilities and to ensure that we were working to detect and to protect against them. I think for reasons that you will all understand, we cannot publicly go into many details about how we discover and counteract foreign intelligence collection efforts, because much of what we have done and are doing is, of course, sensitive. But we were able to determine that China has a high-altitude balloon program for intelligence collection that's connected to the People's Liberation Army. It was operating during the previous administration, but they did not detect it. We detected it. We tracked it. And we have been carefully studying it to learn as much as we can. We know that these PRC surveillance balloons have crossed over dozens of countries on multiple continents around the world, including some of our closest allies and partners. We assessed that at this time, these balloons have provided limited additive capabilities to the PRC's other intelligence platforms used over the United States. But in the future, if the PRC continues to advance this technology, it certainly could become more valuable to them. The President also instructed the intelligence community to take a broad look at the phenomenon of unidentified aerial objects. Indeed, President Biden conducted the first ever daily intelligence briefing session devoted to this phenomenon back in June of 2021. He was briefed that this is not just an issue for the United States, but one for the rest of the world.
See right there? You see right there, these motherfuckers, they just contradicted themselves. Didn't that bitch at the beginning, Karine Jean-Pierre, the fuck her name is, the other Jen Psaki, didn't she just say that there is no reason to believe that this is any type of alien intervention or alien craft or anything? But this motherfucker is just talking about unidentified aerial phenomenon, that UAPs, they don't call them UFOs no more. They call them something else to make it sound different. But now this motherfucker's just going off talking about it. Just listen to what they're saying. It's bullshit, man. I mean, they're just hiding everything. They're trying to fucking ping pong and tennis racket this shit back and forth.
And as I said, our friends and our partners are dealing with this as well. We worked on a bipartisan basis to stand up an office at the Pentagon to study this, in partnership with the intelligence community, academic institutions, and the private sector. These unidentified aerial phenomena have been reported for many years without explanation or deep examination by the government. President Biden has changed all that. We are finally trying to understand them better. Now, in light of the Chinese balloon program and this recent incursion into our airspace, the United States and Canada, through NORAD, have been more closely scrutinizing that airspace, including enhancing.
You see, that's the point I just made, man. He just fucking said it. Now we're trying to understand what they are. You know, and all of this shit out of, like, as far back as UFO sightings go and actual things that people can't explain with that type of technology and shit, this dude's just saying, well, now we're just trying to understand it because President Biden put something in there to make it happen. Dude's been doing this shit for fucking decades, man. And this dude's just barely saying, like, oh, now we're just fucking trying to understand this shit, man. They're trying to fucking make a mockery, or like trying to make us who do believe in aliens that we sound fucking crazy, you know, and it's kind of fucked up. I mean, yeah, I believe in aliens. Am I crazy for believing that? I don't fucking think so. Because y'all guys right here are just talking shit, man. I've seen a lot of stuff in the fucking sky that's crazy. But you guys over here, the fucking Joker over here, this fucking, whoever the fuck his name is a little gaslighter. Welcome on to the Monstars Mic Vodcast, episode number 2, where we are going over the spy flights and the 3 other objects that they just shot down that they don't want to tell us fucking nothing about. This is a press briefing of the recent downings of the unidentified objects. For some reason, they can name the first one, but they can't name the rest. The second one they found, they did tell us it was some type of cylindrical object the shape of a car, right? So we're just listening to the contradictions and the lies and the gaslighting that they are doing. So if you have an opinion about this, please leave it in the chat. Say whatever you like to say about that shit and tell me why. We'd like to have a good time here. Cheers, scallywags. On we go with the shit show.
Enhancing our radar capabilities, which, as the commander of NORTHCOM and NORAD, General Van Herk, said just last night, may at least partially explain the increase in the objects that have been detected. Slow-moving objects at high altitude with a small radar cross-section are difficult to detect on radar. Even objects the size of the Chinese spy balloon, which had a payload the size of roughly 3 school buses, were not picked up by previous administrations or other countries. We also know that a range of entities, including countries, companies, research, and academic organizations, operate objects at these altitudes for purposes that are not nefarious at all, including scientific research. That said, because we have not yet been able to definitively assess what these most recent objects are, we acted out of an abundance of caution to protect the security, our interest, and flight safety. In Saturday's case, we acted in consultation with the Canadian government, the President speaking personally with Prime Minister Trudeau. The spy balloon was, of course, different because we knew precisely where that was. As we have said, we do not assess that these most recent objects posed any direct threat to people on the ground, and we are laser focused on confirming their nature.
Here's another thing, right? So the first balloon, the balloon that they can verify, flew over Alaska, right? And Alaska is our first line of defense against them cats in China and Russia, and Alaska has got a lot of military stuff over there, in case you didn't know, right? So they have fucking spotted this thing earlier, and they just let it fly right over. Just let it fly right over, right? And then it got into Canada, but Canada let it come through there and fucking out into the United States. But now Canada's all like, yeah, now we're going to call that shit. And here's my opinion on something, okay? So I think the fact that Biden let the first one fly through, and there's just too much shit saying, okay, well, you were in Montana. You had plenty of space out there in the fucking open plains and big skyland to where you could have shot it down and it would have been all right, dude. But you let it get to that fucking silo and it flew over other shit as well, right? But now, now that it got over there, it's like, yeah, we shot it down and all this shit. And then this cat saying like, oh, now that anything's coming through there, they're just automatically shooting it down. Now they're calling it out. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Why are you just now calling it out? Because you're going to be called a little bitch, and people don't like it when you let shit fly over the country, man.
Purpose, including through intensive efforts to collect debris in the remote locations where they have fallen. In each instance, we have followed the same basic course. We assessed whether they posed any kinetic threat to people on the ground. They did not. We assessed whether they were sending any communication signals. We detected none. We looked to see whether they were maneuvering or had any propulsion capabilities. We saw no signs of that. And we made sure to determine whether or not they were manned. They were not. We did, however, assess that their altitudes were considerably lower than the Chinese high-altitude balloon and did pose a threat to civilian commercial air traffic. And while we have no specific reason to suspect that they were conducting surveillance of any kind, we couldn't rule that out. That is why the President, at the recommendation of the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the NORTHCOM NORAD commander, gave the order to shoot them down. These missions were completed successfully and safely. Efforts are actively underway right now at all sites to find what is left of those objects so that we can better understand and communicate with the American people what they are. I think it's important to remind the objects in Alaska and Canada are in pretty remote terrain, ice and wilderness, all of that making it difficult to find them in winter weather. The object over Lake Huron now lies in what is probably very deep water. So outside of recovery operations, what are we doing? Well, first, we are continuing to monitor. There are no active tracks today, but the professionals at NORAD will continue to do their important work. Secondly, We are consulting with allies and partners on the challenge of identified aerial phenomenon and how we can all work together to deal with that challenge.
Miscellaneous expenses.
Tax worry.
I was just going to pause it there. I was like, you can't deal with it. All you can do is shoot that shit down, and all you can do is shoot it down, and it makes me wonder, like, why they would let it. If it was aliens, here's to your point, Miss Sloth, if you're still watching. If it was aliens, then they should be able to dodge that shit, right? So there's part of the thing. I can agree with you on this point right here, but they're not saying it isn't aliens. But here's the thing about it, right? And this is where I go back and forth and all that stuff, right? So okay, if aliens have this amazing technology and they can come down here in their fucking spacecraft, right, and fly around, they're flying around and they're getting shot down and shit, and they're calling them objects, right? If these things are getting shot down, why couldn't they dodge a bullet, right? I mean, if they can disable nuclear warheads and fly in and fly out at beyond light speed and shit, how can they be shot down, right? So I'm with you on that one. And if they have this amazing technology, why would they how could we shoot them down? You know, that's why we always think, like, if there was ever a big ass war, we'd have no fucking
Secretary
chance.
of State, Secretary of Defense, and the Director of National Intelligence to engage with their relevant counterparts to share information and to try to gain their perspectives as well. Again, this is an issue that affects everybody around the world. Third, we will continue to brief members of Congress and relevant state leadership on what we are doing and what we learn. The President has made this a very top priority. We have, over the course of just the last few days, and certainly over the course of last week, reached out to inform and brief members of Congress and relevant state governors of the operations that we were conducting and of the recovery operations that are underway. We've also kept Congress briefed generally on this issue of Chinese surveillance balloons, including classified briefings last August. And last week, administration officials provided classified briefings for all senators and all members of the House of Representatives on the PRC surveillance balloon. We fully expect and anticipate and support the ability to continue these briefings in the days ahead. And fourth, the President, through his National Security Advisor, has today directed an interagency team to study the broader policy implications for detection, analysis, and disposition of unidentified aerial objects that pose either safety or security risks. Every element of the government will redouble their efforts to understand and mitigate these events. And I'm happy to take some questions.
John, if the
All right, let's take some questions.
A military threat and they don't pose a threat to anybody on the ground, why shoot them down? Particularly because the military is routinely monitoring radar blips.
I kind of covered that in the opening statement. Two real reasons here. First, there was a very real potential risk to civilian air traffic. The one shot down on yesterday was about 20,000 feet, and the two shot down Friday and Saturday were at about 40,000 feet. And as you know, transcontinental air traffic is roughly around 30,000 feet. It depends, of course, on weather. And so because we assessed that they weren't manned and weren't being controlled, therefore left to atmospheric conditions, the real risk to safety of flight was a problem. The second purpose, and I talked about this earlier too, was even though we had no indications that any of these three objects were surveilling, we couldn't rule that out. And so you want to err on the side of safety here in terms of protecting our national security interests, and the fact that these objects could have and likely did at some point in their path transit over potential military sites of ours or sensitive sites. So again, out of an abundance of caution for those two reasons, the President, with the recommendation of his military...
Yeah, because you're not going to let it happen again, motherfucker. That's why. You let it happen once before.
Should the public be hearing from the President directly on this?
We have been, I think, as transparent as we can be. I won't speak for the President's personal...
They've been as transparent as they can. No, you fucking haven't.
Engaged in every one of these decisions, He's been kept informed, including as of this morning, on what's going on with recovery efforts, and he's very much staying on top of the issue and directing his team to make sure we are properly consulting and briefing not just members of Congress, but state leaders as well. And of course, we're also doing what we can in the public sphere.
The only way they're being transparent is because we can see right through their bullshit.
What is the president's standard going to be going forward about when he orders an unidentified object shot down?
It comes down to one simple formulation, and that's if at the recommendation of his military leaders he believes that the safety and security of the United States, that the safety and security of the American people, his prime responsibility, warrant that kind of a decision.
So it's possible we could see these shoot downs on a regular basis like we saw over the weekend?
He fucked up the first time. That's why they're not going to let anything fly over anymore.
Always side on preserving and protecting the safety and security of the American people.
You said we're not flying any surveillance balloons over China. Are we flying any other kind of surveillance craft routinely over China?
We are not flying surveillance balloons over China. I'm not aware of any other craft that we're flying over into Chinese airspace.
And then finally, can you tell us anything more about this octagonal object? How big was it?
We're still trying to assess what that was. I'm not going to get into a description. I've seen the press reports about what it looked like. I think we all need to be humble here in terms of what our ability is to positively identify stuff from fighter aircraft that are going several hundred miles an hour past, essentially, in terms of relative motion, a stationary object that was not very big. So we don't know what this exactly looked like, and again, we're still not sure exactly what the purpose of it was or who owned it. But we hope to be able to find out more once we can.
They're making it seem like they're stupid, like they don't know what the fuck they saw. Come on.
Are you wondering what your home is actually?
They're making them seem like they're stupid, like they don't know what's going on and shit, man. I mean, this is the fucking supposed to be the U.S. Air Force, NORAD, our protection against like shit coming down on us, and they can't tell us, oh, we didn't fucking see it or know what it is. They don't want to tell us shit. So, with that being said, guys, what do you think so far? Let me know. I mean, I'm just here fucking talking to myself. What do you think? They're being transparent, but they don't know what the fuck they're looking at. Get out of here, man. We're supposed to have the best fucking flight technology and shit up there to identify whatever. I mean, I'm sure they could shoot a missile right up my fucking ass right now with the precision that they got. But they can't tell us what the hell that was that they shot down. There's been 4 of them that they shot down, right? So that's the thing. That's what's going on here with all of that shit. We're going to continue with the press briefing here, but we're just waiting for some opinions from you guys, you know, because I want to know what y'all think so far of this. This is a crowd participation type of vodcast, you know. I know you're watching. I know you guys are watching. Crowd participation is highly advised and respected. So, with that being said, yes, I was very pissed that, you know, the government let that shit fly over the first time, and then now they're not letting anything fly over, but they don't want to tell us what those are, because they don't know what those are, but they could identify the first one and tell us a little bit about the second one. And what? Did you shoot him down with a missile? Did you shoot him down with fucking guns? And here's another thing about it. It's like, somebody had a theory that China is sending this shit over and costing us money as far goes as like missiles and tracking and the flight to run the fucking Raptor, and the missiles like what, 6,000 or fucking, I don't know how many, 100,000 fucking dollars and all this shit, man. But I don't know. We could be going to war. What do you think? Am I an idiot to think that we might be going to war? I don't know. definitely something that's been razzing me lately. Am I concerned about going to war with China? I don't know. For me personally, I think that they're witnessing the weakness of our administration and they're pushing limits to see how far they can go. And they were getting away with it for a little bit. But I don't think they can. I don't think the government's administration can let them get away with it anymore. Because they're also saying like they've been balloons flying all over the place. It's just now that they're detecting them and shit. It just makes me wonder, you know, like what the fuck are we like? What's going on here, man? And now people are talking about war and this and that shit, and I'm like, okay, well, if we're gonna do that, then what's the deal? I am of a mind to really believe that this administration has shown a big weakness as far as militarily, and I'm saying that it's not the Americans. See, that's the one thing that these motherfuckers across seas don't realize, right? As far as I'm concerned. Don't get the leadership mistaken with who the American people are. China sees what's going on as far as leadership is weak. Yeah, that might be the case. But America isn't weak. It's the leadership that's weak, man. We got people right now ready to go and fight the right way that they know how to. You know what I'm saying? If it comes down to it. But it's the leadership. It's the green light. You know, and everybody's seeing it. They're looking at us like we're all fucking jokes and shit. At least that's what I'm observing. But it ain't us. It's the leadership that's the joke. So if they want to go, then let's go. But you know that's gonna be a problem. We got so many people behind us that if I think that there is a war between China and us, that there would be mass devastation in a fucking quick amount of time. But it would be quickly corrected by devastation to the Communist Chinese party. Everybody would jump them, man. It's like everybody would jump them, dude. Nobody wants a World War III, but a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, the Cold War's already going. They're already fucking doing this." Y'all don't even know because we're not even telling you right now. But now that you guys are actually seeing the fucking balloons and whatever else getting shot down, hey, well, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Hey, get fucking ready. Get ready to go here. You know what I mean? Like, get ready to fucking go to war if we got to and shit. But I don't know, man. Their mistake is that they think America is weak, but America isn't weak. It's the leadership that's weak, man. If we had somebody be honest and said, yeah, go fuck them up or whatever, or people who are being more transparent, like these motherfuckers say that they're being, I don't know, man. So I'm all about a fucking alien intervention right about now. I hope it is fucking aliens. More than likely it's going to be China just fucking around with us, right? All right. Let's get back into this shit. See what else this joker has to say. Welcome one, welcome all. We are in Monstars Mic, having opinions over the spy flights and the other objects that they shot down that they don't want to tell us nothing about. They're being a bunch of fucking liars, man.
I'm not familiar with the Prime Minister's comments, so I don't know if I should take a swing at that. I would just tell you that, going back to what I said before, these objects were not being maneuvered. They did not appear to have any self-propulsion. So the likely hypothesis is that they were being moved by the prevailing winds. And maybe perhaps that's what the Prime Minister is talking about. I don't want to speak for him, but certainly as the prevailing winds, particularly at that altitude, go west to east across the North American airspace, I mean, there was a general common movement in that regard.
You spoke at the top about kind of reassessing radar given what happened with the initial balloon. Can you give us a sense, can we expect, should we assume that this is the regular number of these objects over the United States, that they've always been there and they just haven't been looked at the same way? Or is there any reason to expect that this is more than usual that are flying over?
So two thoughts there. I mean, I think I think we can all get our heads around the fact that there are sometimes things floating at high altitudes for various purposes. As I said, scientific research, weather balloons, all manner of innocuous craft can be aloft at high altitudes. I don't think that that's necessarily unusual here. It's difficult for me to say exactly what you can expect going forward. One of the reasons that we think we're seeing more is because we're looking for more. As you heard General Van Herk mention last night, they have modified.
See, now that's fucking concerning right there to me. I was like, oh my God. Did you hear what he just said, man? Have y'all been paying attention? This motherfucker said, the only reason that we've been seeing them is because we're looking for them. Really, motherfucker. So, what happened before? Like, our sovereignty and our airspace is being violated constantly beforehand because you motherfuckers weren't on the vigil, like, always on ready because you just letting shit fly around in the sky? What the fuck is that about? We haven't been looking for them. It's be like, well, why didn't you tell me? Well, because you didn't ask me. These motherfuckers ain't gonna... Am I wrong here? Am I wrong in saying that? In observing what the hell this dude's saying? Or can y'all, like, enlighten me to make any other type of sense on what the fuck's going on? Chime in anytime. Don't everybody jump in at once.
By the filters and the gains, as we call it, of the radar capabilities to look more discreetly at high altitude, small radar cross section, and low speed objects. And so if you do
but you can look into fucking space and shit.
Operated a radar will know you can set the parameters, and if you set the parameters in such a way that to look for a certain something, it's more likely that you're going to find a certain something.
Given all you've discussed here and the actions the administration is taking and what people have learned, Chinese spy balloon this year and previous years, these unidentified objects that we shoot down, they might have a question. When it comes to these higher altitudes, are America's borders secure?
The president takes, as I said earlier, he takes our national security extremely seriously. He has no higher responsibility than the safety and security of the American people. And I don't think
America's borders are definitely not fucking secure.
The last week to 10 days,
There's aliens coming over the fucking border every day. And now there's Chinese coming over. Do y'all know that?
That we are discovering in real time.
You're making an assumption there that I don't know that the analysis will actually bear out.
Got Brian in the back.
Thank you very much.
We're getting fucked, man. Conspiracy theorists. I'm losing my mind. I'm just making observations. I'm not gonna go where. I'm not gonna go out there and freak out on everybody or nothing. I'm just letting y'all listen.
By his national security team and certainly by the military. He made that decision. I couldn't give you the exact time on the clock, but it was, I believe, mid to late morning, and then it was executed in the afternoon.
Were there contingencies in place in case there was a reaction from a foreign government in reaction to shooting that object down? Was the president anticipating the one yesterday? Yeah.
Well, it was shot over. I mean, it was shot over Lake Huron and landed in what we believe to be the Canadian side of the lake. So we were obviously in constant communication and consultation with our Canadian counterparts, and they are rightly, because of where we think it splashed down. I mean, they're sort of in concert with the U.S. Coast Guard, but
And we can't fucking find it.
in trying to locate the debris right now. But there was good
Motherfuckers can't find any debris over the last 3 that they shot down, right? But they can pinpoint where the fuck it's at with pinpoint accuracy, and they can say it fell over 20-mile fucking radius. Get the fuck out of here, man.
John, 2 questions. One, you mentioned early on that the China balloon might have been giving limited additive capabilities. I assume you're meaning onto their satellite surveillance. Can you specify what exactly it's getting from a balloon that they're not getting from orbiting satellites that go over us like dozens of times.
With the caveat that we haven't fully recovered everything, though we have recovered some things from the bottom of the Atlantic, and we're analyzing that. But with that caveat that we don't know exactly what this balloon was surveilling or what its capabilities were. So just in general, and that is an important caveat that I'd like you to remember.
What's your opinion, Blake? I want to know, man. I want to know what your opinion is, dude.
You could perhaps get a better...
Dude, I would love for you to be on my podcast, dude. You would be like my guy. I see you watching, man. What's your opinion, man?
When you are not moving at the speed of a satellite, and therefore, only getting seconds over a site, when you can maneuver left, right, slow down, speed up, like this thing could, then you can loiter. If you can loiter, you can soak in a little bit more. You can spend more time over a sensitive site.
Some of their satellites are in geostationary orbit. I mean, they're just sitting there gathering signals intelligence, right? So what is the benefit? I mean, is it just...
And they say TikTok is like all fucking Chinese spies and shit.
More detail than that right now. We're going to learn more.
But we're being transparent. We're not going to go into any more detail right now. But we're being transparent with you guys. Fuck out of here, man.
The other object shot down were not able to transmit, or were not transmitting signals, that they did not have any propulsion. Did the China balloon, did that have any, was it emitting signals back?
I'm not going to go into more detail about the capabilities of that. We are going to be studying it and analyzing it. There is no question in our minds that that system was designed to surveil, that was an intelligence asset. I'll leave it there.
Has there been any outreach from anywhere in the administration to the kinds of companies that produce weather balloons or other...
The war in Ukraine forced my family to flee. My sister, mother, and grandmother left their entire lives behind on February 24 and moved in with my family in America. They are very fortunate, while more than 10 million...
Sorry, there was a commercial there. Hold on, I can't see who's writing there. Oh, that's Tricky Frags. That's me. That's me in there. Nobody else want to talk. So let me know what you guys think about that shit. I seriously am pissed off about it, to tell you the truth. These guys are just constantly gaslighting. These guys are constantly just hiding shit. All they do is hide shit. They can't tell us fucking nothing, but they're being transparent. I just don't have any fucking patience for that type of bull crap. We have been streaming for an hour. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on Monstars Mic Vodcast episode 2, where we're talking about the spy flight. We had Miss Sloth come in here saying that she didn't believe in aliens. Couldn't really understand why. But we're gonna pull that answer out of her eventually sometime. Maybe when she's not as high next time. Yeah, and I've said my piece on it. We'll see if we can get another opinion on it here in a minute from somebody that I hold highly as far as opinions go. Stay tuned. We're gonna take a little 5-minute break. It has been an hour without a break, so take 5. Smoke them if you got them. We'll come back. We'll finish this interview, and then we'll get some final words, and then wrap it up. So stay tuned. You're with Monstars Mic here, live on Monstar Gaming Live. Be right back. And we're back. All right, we're gonna wrap this press briefing up here. Looks like we got 20 more minutes, and then we'll wrap up with our final thoughts. Coming back at you live. Boom. Kaboom. Cheers, you scallywags, wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in. I was your host, Tricky, aka Tricky Monster, soon to be Resilience. Thank you for joining me here on Monstars Mic Live. Where we're going over the whole spy flight incident, my opinions, listening to these cats ramble on about shit, gaslighting, talking about being transparent when they are being anything but transparent with what they're saying. So we're just here. If you have any opinions about it, please leave it in the chat. We would love to hear your opinions. If you believe in aliens, if you believe in what's going on with this whole China thing. This is an open conversation that we're having. So whatever you got to say, please say it. And if you have nothing nice to say, please sit with us. All right. Let's get this back up and running here. Let's hear what else he's got to say.
That would fit these descriptions that might be from the commercial or corporate world to say, is this yours, or any kind of outreach, or have you been hearing from anyone who might say, we have ours, they're in this area. Is any of that going on now?
I don't know of any conversations right now, Kelly, but one of the reasons why the president directed Mr. Sullivan to put together an interagency effort is to take a long look at that and try to learn a little bit better about who is up at that altitude doing what for completely legitimate purposes. I think we all recognize we need to probably have a better sight picture on that, and that's why the president wants this interagency effort to take a look.
And what kind of intelligence might be happening in terms of the diplomacy that's going on or whatever, if these are state-owned objects?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
Is there a network of conversations that might be happening where someone might be able to say, based on this octagonal description, that, hey, that sounds like the so-and-so? I mean, is there
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you.
Are...
I'm sorry. The fourth one that they just shot down yesterday was of an octagonal shape. I forgot to mention that. I forgot. So they know what the first one was. The first one was a spy balloon. The second one was of a rectangular shape and the size of a car. The third one, they don't know what fucking size it was or what it was. But the fourth one was of an octagonal shape. So it's like fucking Sesame Street with these cats, man. The next one will probably be a triangle. Mark my words. A triangle coming up next. And if I was a betting man, which I am, it's gonna be a triangle. Or maybe a saucer shape. Yeah, that would be nice. A saucer shape.
Happening that might be able to give us some descriptions.
I mean, the short answer to your question is yes, and I talked about that in my opening statement. The president also directed Secretary Blinken, Secretary Austin, Director Haynes to have these kinds of conversations with our allies and partners around the world, to share with them what we're learning, but also to get their perspectives.
The Chinese were quick to say it's ours, but it was for commercial purposes.
Yeah, again, we're going to have those kinds of conversations with our allies and partners to see what kind of experiences that they have had, what we can learn from them, what perhaps they can learn from us.
And are we still with object, or can we call them balloons?
Still with object.
And just to follow up on Kelly's question,
and I won't mess that up today.
On the corporate angle, is there any expectation that this is going to affect the executive order on surveilling U.S. companies and what they're doing in China and their
I know of no
operations
such
there?
change to that executive order.
Okay, and then is there, and just, you said a moment ago that there's no knowledge of a U.S. balloon or other craft over Chinese territory, just being cognizant of the fact that China has a different definition of what their territory is than the United States. Is there any U.S. surveillance aircraft over Taiwan, over the South China Sea that would fit into that?
There is no U.S. surveillance aircraft over Chinese in Chinese airspace.
Okay, even Chinese claimed airspace.
There is no U.S. surveillance aircraft in Chinese airspace.
Okay, and then just finally, is there any new formal approach that's being developed as far as how you're going to deal with these things on a systematic basis going forward? Is there
Well, again, that's exactly what the president wants Mr. Sullivan to run as a process, an interagency process, to help us, as I said in my opening statement, get around the policy implications here. And whether
well, like I said, that's what that's exactly what the president wants you to believe.
We want you to believe that we have a control over it.
Taking down objects over U.S. territory, as far as I'm aware of. I guess my question is, you talked about the tweak in the radar systems.
Yeah.
Has there been a tweak in the threshold for the Pentagon presenting to the president signing off on military action related to anything over our airspace?
I'm not sure I'm following what you mean.
In the way the Chinese spy balloon,
yeah,
the radars were tweaked, which is why you think you're seeing some of these things.
Right.
has the decision about, or has the threshold for the use of fighters to take down objects also been tweaked? Has it been lowered? Has it been changed? We've never seen this before. All of a sudden, we've seen three
actually,
days.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand it at first. No, I mean, and you heard General Van Herk talk about this last night. He's
It's
using
like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it at first because I had to give myself time to react to the question the second time.
Craft in the air, aircraft in the air, that can be legitimately brought down. And as he said last night, the best way to do that, certainly in a timely and efficient, effective way, was through fighter aircraft and through these Sidewinder air-to-air missiles. And they looked at, and he talked about this, they looked at other options to try to bring them down, to include gunfire, but that
Let's see how much a Sidewinder air-to-air
risk to
missile
the pilots
cost.
themselves. So this was the safest, most effective way to do that. Now, where we go from here, I think we just don't know right now in terms of whether there needs to be threshold changes, as you put out. I think it's important to just take a step back here, and remember what the president did was order these actions with the safety and security of the American people foremost in his mind, and there were very good reasons to do it.
Meet the Sidewinder, the $400,000 missile of choice for shooting down suspected Chinese spy balloons and mystery UFOs.
Let me put a sharper point on it. This isn't reactive to the Chinese spy
$400,000 for a
pressure,
missile.
and so we are going to act quickly to take down any objects over our airspace because of the pressure that came from, say, Republic.
These were decisions based purely and simply on what was in the best interest of the American people.
That's great. Thanks, John. John, does the U.S. government have video or imagery of these latest intercepts, and will you guys be releasing it?
You'd have to talk to DoD about that, Jackie. I don't know what kind of imagery might exist, and they'd be the one to talk about whether they're releasable or not. Obviously, certainly with respect to the spy balloon, we want to make sure that we are gleaning what we can from this imagery so that we can answer your questions better. And so to what degree there is or will or will not be public release, I do want to stress that, we're going to want to make sure that we have had a chance to analyze that imagery for ourselves as much as possible.
Following up on Phil's question, I guess what we're trying to discern is, you said earlier, we're looking for these more, so we're finding more. And
I said that could be one reason why we're finding more.
One reason, but what we're getting at is, why are we all of a sudden shooting them down? And to add to that, the NORAD commander, for instance, said that when the first
We're shooting them down now because we can't because Biden can't let them go over anymore, because if he does, he looks like a little bitch.
A military threat or have hostile intent, and so he couldn't take action there. It seems like maybe that protocol has changed, or his ability to make that call where there is not an imminent threat militarily or physically might have changed. So can you explain to us what changed? Why are we shooting them down all of a sudden?
I kind of feel like I took care of that in my opening statement, but I'm happy to revisit it. I mean, really two reasons here. And these are certainly in both cases, they're different. I mean, I think we need to separate the Chinese spy balloon. We knew what it was. We knew where it was going. We knew what it was trying to do. And by not taking it down, I mean, that was also a huge payload. Like I said, the size of 3 school buses. So really the option of shooting that down.
This fucking guy, man.
A legitimate option, because somebody really could have gotten hurt. And we used the time available to us, knowing what this thing was all about. We used that time to study it, to learn from it, to collect on it.
And to let it gather our fucking information, right? You dumb
And we
momo
have
fucking.
retrieved some of that debris off the bottom, and we're studying that. Hang on a second, I'll be right there.
But they still haven't recovered
Let's
the
separate that from
electronics
these
and
other-
shit.
These other 3, what are some of the differences? Altitude's a big difference.
Is that the threshold now? A risk to
No,
civilian aircraft?
let me get through this, and then altitude's different.
Let me get through my lie real quick.
60,000.
Let me get through my transparency
well outside
real quick for you
commercial
guys.
Traffic concerns. These 3 were right on the border of it, so there was a legitimate concern there. Chinese spy balloon, we knew exactly what that thing was, and we knew what it was trying to do, and we saw it, Jackie, as it slowed down, sped up, maneuvered a little bit, trying to get a look at what we believe to be sensitive military sites. These other 3, they didn't have propulsion. They weren't being maneuvered. It was basically they were being driven by the wind. We don't know for sure whether they had a surveillance aspect to them, but we can't rule it out. So there was enough uncertainty there that, again, out of an abundance of caution, doing the prudent thing, the president directed that they get taken down. And I get where you're going. Is this the standard going forward? And we're gonna dive into this. We're gonna learn from these 3 events.
Yeah, I doubt they're gonna let anything else fly over from now on out.
We're going to have an interagency effort that helps us get around the policy implications.
Because it took us to say some shit like, no, don't fucking let that stuff fly,
Bottom
man.
line for President Biden is, you got to do the right thing for the American people, for our safety and security.
Is it strange that no one's claimed these yet as theirs?
I can't say whether that's strange or not, since we're sort of in uncharted territory here, no pun intended. But we don't know, and I suspect that Go ahead. I'm basically done. I'm basically done.
Sir, what's your name, sir?
Bo from CBS.
Okay.
Has the payload been recovered from South Carolina yet?
The
large so-called payload that's...
Yeah, as I said, some of the debris, certainly they were able to take things off the surface like the next day, actually that afternoon, some of the balloon fabric. And in the days since, they have been able to recover some.
You said, I'm basically done. Man, the dude's been done. He ain't saying fucking nothing.
Weather conditions are pretty tough off the
He ain't
coast
saying nothing
right
to
now.
nobody.
Like today, for instance, they have not been able to get into the water and dive on it. But over the course of the weekend, they were able to raise some of the debris, including some of the electronics and some of the structure.
Do you have an expectation of when all that payload is going to be collected?
I don't. I wish if I could tell you that, I'd be a very wealthy man. I mean, it could take a long time, given the sea state and weather conditions and the degree to which we have to protect the safety of the divers.
And one last question.
So anyways, guys, you get the picture. These guys have been saying a lot of shit, but it's really been a bunch of nothing. They haven't been saying anything, to tell you the truth. They've been giving us little tidbits of things here and there, right? They haven't been transparent. And now I hear them saying, well, if we had more information, we'd give it to you. But do you really think that they would give it to you? For me personally, I hear a lot of shit about, oh, it's China, could be Russia. Nobody fucking wants to claim anything, but they were able to say the first one was from China, but it had like English writing on the balloon. So in the end, it's just one big shit show, isn't it? That's all it is. So I'm all for an alien intervention. A lot of things don't make sense to where aliens are. Miss Sloth said that she doesn't believe in aliens. It'd be interesting to find out why she doesn't, but we'll dive into that a little bit. I appreciate all of my viewers here tonight joining me on Monstars Mic Live, our second episode today. If you want to see more episodes, all you got to do is follow me. I got some information down there in the corner right there. You can follow me on Twitch. You can follow me on Facebook Live. You can follow me on, I believe I have, YouTube Live, Trovo on there as well. Tune in for another episode sometime down the future when I find another subject that I feel a gripe about. Here on Monstars Mic, this is all about us talking it out. Whatever you have to say, I listen. Whatever I have to say, maybe you listen. We have our arguments, we have our agreements, and then split upon the ends, man. That's all we're doing here. We're all adults here, right? And I hope you had a good time. If you like what you saw tonight, give me a like, give me a follow. Keep tuned in to whatever I do. And, more power to you. Hope you liked it. I know I had a good time. So we'll take one more sip of the brew here. One more toke for the gods. Thank you, Miss Law, for interacting. And next time, I hope more of you guys interact because I need you guys to interact with me. I need you guys to interact. I need more of y'all's opinions. If we're gonna grow this channel together, me and you, we're gonna grow it together. Me and you, especially you over there. So cheers. Till next time, guys, stay high, keep your heads up, and stay tuned.